All right, welcome back to MLive's Dungeon of Doom podcast, initial 50-man roster extravaganza. I am Ben Raven. He is Corey Woods. Corey, how you doing?
Pretty good. What's going on?
What's going on? Corey's outside right now. You're going to hear trucks going by. You're going to hear crickets, but that's part of the ambiance that we offer here at the Dungeon of Doom podcast.
Hey, look, there is a 2.5-year-old running inside the house crazy. There is no other way I was going to be able to get this done instead of stepping outside. So, yeah, we're on location, and then, the kid broke my glasses. So, yeah, I have to wear these for right now.
And you've been triple duty today. But let's get into it. That first Canadian geese. Let me pause. That's awesome. All right, so the initial roster is set. It has 50 players on it, not 53. There were some surprises. There are some questions. There are some obvious holes. When you look at that first roster, Corey, what's your takeaway?
My initial takeaway is they need edge depth. I mean, that's the first thing that stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm like, okay, Uku, Agude, Lynn, what's going on here?
Cooper?
What's going on here? But and also too and then I guess you can say that's 1A. 1B was like, is somebody on their way back? Wink, wink. Yeah. But yeah, that just stuck out like a sore thumb to me. I did, and then the other part was when we were talking about the Lions carrying 6 wide receivers, I expected Meeks to be one of those 6, not Lovett. I guess I could understand the logic in it where, you drafted Lovett, Meeks was an undrafted free agent, so I guess I kind of get it, but I thought that if they were going to go 6 wide receivers, I thought Meeks had the preseason and the overall training camp that warranted him getting that 6th spot. And then this is in no way or of some type of shade towards Dominic Lovett. It's just more so of the body of work that we've seen one guy put versus the other.
Yeah, the Meeks Lovett stuff I think is best explained when looking to how do you help us now on special teams. That's Dominic Lovett. If he's active on game day, he's going to be out there for special teams. But Meeks just seemed like there was a receiver worth keeping there. 6'2", 218, second leading receiver in the preseason. I know a lot of that came on one big catch in Atlanta, but he just seemed like, all right, if you let this guy go, he's probably going to get claimed elsewhere. But hey, I get it. Brad likes to keep his guys. Brad Holmes, that is. He was a draft pick. I don't care how late he was. He was still one of Holmes's guys. Special teams guy, I don't know. I thought you could have snuck Lovett on the practice squad personally, but for the last week, we've been 6 wide receivers is tough. I don't see 7. If you would have told me they would have kept 6 wide receivers, had 3 open roster spots and only 3 edge defenders and no backup pure safety on the roster, I would have been like, you're crazy. But that's what happened.
This is where we're
at. I think the question that we should probably lead off with is what the heck's going on with Ahmad Hassanin.
Yes.
We asked Dan Campbell about that earlier this week, and he did a rare Dan Campbell move and punted that question down to Brad Holmes, and that kind of raised some, not red flags, but just maybe he is done for the season. Maybe there's something going on there, but Ahmad Hassanin, the 6th-round pick out of Boise State, he has been waived with an injury settlement. That means he goes to waivers. Another team can claim him. Very rare for a team to claim an injured player. Once he passes through waivers, he is a free agent able to sign anywhere. The Lions are not able to re-sign him until after the injury settlement passes, which is based on how long he and the team agree he's going to be out, plus 3 weeks. So it's a risk, but also this just screams, hey, handshake agreement between team, player, and agent there. I don't think they make this move unless they think he can come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first seen that he was gone, I'm like, okay, I know the injury settlement thing, but let me just go do a quick crash course just to make sure I'm reading this correctly. And I just don't see them doing with as much as they're already, and I guess you could say invested in him in training camp and the things that they saw, things that they like, and how I guess you could say how they talked about what his potential could be. I didn't see them getting rid of him that quickly if there wasn't some type of wink wink deal in place to bring him back once the injury settlement is over. It just wouldn't make any sense to do that.
Yeah, so it's a move that's not without risk, but I would say that, like, I don't know, I would trust Brett Holmes knowing what he's doing here just in that regard. But yeah, he suffered that pectoral injury in the Miami preseason game, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And it's interesting that the Lions didn't use one of their. Okay, so you get 2 injured reserve set to return designations on cut day. You get 8 during the regular season. And I think last season's defensive injuries kind of just like stuck in their head. Because if you remember last year, John Kaminsky went down with that knee injury in camp, started the year on the opening roster, put him on injured reserve designated to return, and he never came back. And that was one of those 8 spots there. So I think roster flexibility, the nightmares of last season, and maybe a handshake agreement with team player and agent. I think that's why is there. Still, it's likely he's back, but it's not a move without risk, because when he was on the field, there was a lot of attention locally, and he was kind of picking up some national attention too, just because it's such a cool story. And like I was kind of discussing with somebody on the side today, it's not like he crapped the bed when he was out there either. So,
No, absolutely
yeah,
not. You knew he was raw because he's only been playing the game for like 7 years. I mean, he just learned the English languages, so all of this is still new to him. But I mean, you just can't teach that motor that he had out there, and I just don't see them letting that go so easily.
yeah. And before we kind of run through the roster and offer our thoughts there, I did dig up a couple of edge defender names that were let go and that are out there that make sense. Uh, Isaiah Land was cut by the Colts. He had a pretty great preseason for the Colts. He's a young guy. He was top 10 in pass rush win rate. I think he had a sack, 7 pressures. Old friend who kind of helped come down to Detroit last year, Isaiah Thomas, was cut by the Bengals, and there was a lot of chatter out of Cincinnati that he had played his way onto a roster spot. So keep tabs on Isaiah Thomas. Then there's veteran Carl Lawson. And Corey, who's the 4th name I'm about to say? I'll let you take the 4th name.
Zadarius Smith.
Look at that. We are locked in. And ESPN reports today that multiple contending teams have checked in on Smith, who is training and waiting on the right situation. What's call it? Call your shot. I called mine last week.
the right the right situation is here. Detroit. I do not see. I will say this much: we speak with Brad later this week. I would be shocked if the Darius Smith is not in a Lions uniform by Friday.
I love it. Yep, I sat on the practice field by week 1. There's 3 roster spots. It's a fit. He knows the guys. I know he didn't play for Casey Rogers, but he knows Shep. He knows Dan Campbell. Get him here. Get him here. Like, get him here. There are 3 edge defenders on this roster, man. 3 edge defenders on. Is this like Brad, like, trying to prove us wrong for all the edge questions in the offseason? What the hell is this?
I don't get it. I mean, but when you just look at that, when I just saw that, I'm like, am I reading this right? Like, they only have where is the depth? So it's like when I looked at it, I was like, it has to be a move coming. It's no way. I know they said that they were going to be looking at their other practice squads to see if there are some guys that could take that back. Look at the other releases that were coming out to see if there were some guys out there that could possibly help them. And even if they give Zadarius, they still need some more edge depth. But it was just like, it's no way that he's not on the trail back. Brad, to me, in my opinion, he kind of tipped his hand with the whole talking about the veteran in the training camp thing. Why would you bring that up if it wasn't some kind of truth to it? Like, hey, he kind of maybe wants to train on his own. I think there might have been some smoking. There might have been some smoke there, and then just off of the fact that multiple contending teams, if the reports we're saying the reports are true, multiple contending teams are reaching out to him, but he was waiting for the right situation. I believe the right situation was returning to a place where you just said a couple of months ago on the BET Awards red carpet, I want to be back in Detroit. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be shocked if he landed. So I would be surprised if he landed somewhere else. But it just screams he's back in the Lions jersey.
Yeah, he's a schematic fit. He's a stylistic fit. We never got to see him play with Aiden Hutchinson. He's the perfect number 2 guy to place behind Marcus Davenport to work in there when Hutchinson kicks inside. Anything like that. But yeah, the 3 edges on the roster are Hutchinson, fantastic, elite, top 5 guy in the league, home run. Marcus Davenport, fantastic training camp, 6 games in 2 seasons. Nobody here's predicting injuries, but like you can't go into the season without a plan. Al-Quadin Muhammad is a physical specimen, faster than you think. Great depth piece who deserves snaps, but that's it. That's it. There's no Nate Lynn, who I had on my final projection. There's no Keith Cooper, who I really thought was going to be on the right side of that roster just because of his inside-outside versatility. Josh Paschal being slow back. Wingo not really doing much to this point yet. The list goes on and on. So what I view this as is roster flexibility to leave those 3 spots open, obviously, and also keeping the flexibility with the injured reserve to return designation as flexible as possible. And I get it. I respect it. I am a little surprised that Hassanin didn't get one of those IR to return designations. That would have been whatever. I just think that would have made sense. Like, that's where I'm like, dang, why the risk of him being on that list and not coming back this season is one I would rather take than him hitting waivers and then hitting free agency. But Hassanin wants to be here. His family has said that in multiple media stories. He has said that he loves being here. He feels like this is the right spot for him. So the door's not slammed. The door's not shut. But there's just an element of risk. There's just an element of risk there for sure. Yeah.
This is true. This is true. I don't even want to say this is Dan Garrett. This is a Brad Holmes gamble right here. So,
yeah, it is.
But I'll give Brad Holmes this. If anybody has earned the right to be risky in this regard, it's him.
Yeah, for sure. Dan Campbell said it best. He's got a perfect hitting percentage on guessing who's going to get claimed and not claimed. So these aren't just blind moves he's making without thought. I will just say that there is risk, but I do think it's low risk, but I don't know. I would just rather not take that risk, but we'll see. We'll see what Brad has to say later this week. I mean, I'm sure he'll probably be one of the first questions he get asked.
Oh yeah.
Let's run through the roster real quick. 2 quarterbacks, no surprise. 4 running backs, you know their names. 6 wide receivers with Dominic Lovett. The 3 tight ends everyone expected. And then on the offensive line, Dan Skipper was out. That was one that everybody seemed a little shaken by. I know he's kind of like a cult hero around these parts. I mean, when Decker was out, he was the starting left tackle and just always seems to be in the mix. Like this, he's played 44 games. I think he started 11 times over the last 3 years, but the Lions opt to go with Jamarco Jones and Giovanni Manu as their backup tackles. Kingsley, the big second-year center, made the first roster. So that's what I've been talking about for a couple weeks. Who's your backup center? It's Kingsley, it looks like. So, yeah, 9 offensive linemen. Jamarco Jones, been solid, but just had a couple different injuries. What's your take on the offensive line? Any surprises there? Any thoughts on Dan Skipper?
At first, I was surprised about Dan Skipper, but then I just kind of thought about it like, this isn't his first rodeo with exiting Detroit. So it wouldn't surprise me if somehow he finds his way back. But if he doesn't, I mean, hey, this is a team that is we talked about it at nauseating length. This is a team that has a Super Bowl window that could close at any moment, and if he doesn't come back, it just shows you that, hey, Brad and Dan saw something where it's like, hey, it might be time for a change. So that remains to be seen. We'll see when this practice squad comes out. But at first it was just like, whoa, Skipper, okay. But hey, he had some struggles in camp. But I would say overall, aside from that, no real surprises for me.
No, yeah, and Skipper is a vet, gets to pick his next spot. If he wants to come back to Detroit, I have to believe. I mean, I know some people are questioning if he'll come back on the practice squad. I don't know. I feel like Dan Skipper's the type of guy that would make a lot of sense to place behind Jamarco Jones, who's a vet himself, who has been banged up. That's like a break glass in case of emergency type of guy that just makes 2 cents here. the defensive line, other than the 3 edge defenders only making it through, the big surprise for me was not technically Chris Smith just making the roster, but it was Chris Smith making the roster and Keith Cooper not making the roster. So that was the one where I was like, huh, interesting. I just, because it should be noted that for 15 straight off seasons, the Lions have had a UDFA make the roster. That ended this year. I really thought Keith Cooper was going to be the guy to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it also too really just this aside from the UDFA aspect, it's just his versatility. I mean, you lose a guy like Levi Onwuzurike, who was that inside outside guy, and you're like, okay, you can not necessarily you can plug in that type of versatility with Keith Cooper, and he had a solid camp, and the fact that he didn't make it, I'm like, all right, hopefully for them, and just in my opinion, I think that's a guy that they should be able to try to get back on the practice squad if they can. But yeah, him not making the initial 53 man, that was just what shocked me, just with the depth concerns that they have, and then you see they're only carrying 50 guys.
I know. And Chris Smith, I thought was pretty good in preseason. He's been repping high in the order too in camp, but like this is a guy that's been on the practice squad multiple times
Yeah.
here too. And like, I don't know, when I look at somebody like Chris Smith, who's great, dependable, they know who he is, obviously rose this offseason, but you look at Keith Cooper and like what they have and what they need, it's like, huh, I'm interested just to hear what went into that. So that was another surprise there. There's no surprises at linebacker.
No.
It's the 6 guys you thought. Secondary, some slight surprise. Only 8, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 secondary guys. And outside of Branch and Joseph, no pure safeties behind them. They have worked Rock Ya-Sin at safety in recent weeks. Avonte Maddox has got plenty of safety experience, but I think they've kept 10 or 11 secondary guys in recent years. So, I mean, I feel like 2 of those open spots are meant for the edge and defensive line room, and I think at least one has got to be used, maybe not even as a safety, but as someone who can play slot, as someone who can play safety. Like they got to add a little more there, I think.
Yeah, I was surprised that Ian Kennelly did not make it. I just thought that he might have been the guy that I've been able to sneak on the roster. Um, I did think just because of optics reasons they might have carried Morris Norris, but even before that, I thought that he had an uphill battle before to make the 53 man roster, and I believe by them doing what they did, I guess they felt the same way.
Yeah, I was when Kennelly got cut, I was like, man, all right, Lauren Strickland's doing this thing again. And then you look at the cuts when they come through, and it's like, oh, Lauren Strickland didn't make it. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, who's the backup safety? And I was like, man, I expected Rock to be in the mix at safety, but I think he's played like 1 safety snap across 7 seasons in the NFL. Whatever. They love to kick the tires on versatility. They love to cross-train guys. Ya-Sin and Maddox are pretty solid guys to have as your backup safeties because you're hoping Branch and Joseph eat all of those snaps. So, but yeah, just a little thin there too. So I am curious, just like, dang, 6 wide receivers, 3 edge defenders, your top 2 safeties with 2 guys who are more natural slot/corner guys as your backup safeties, and just not a lot of the numbers in the secondary kind of surprised me. But yeah, trying to think and then the 3 specialists. You already know who the 3 specialists, those guys are locked in. Linebacker Ezekiel Turner was placed on injured reserve. It sounded like he was dealing with an Achilles injury after that preseason finale. Not good. Saw him walking around on crutches. Forgot the word for crutches there for a second. But and then Miles Frazier, Aleem McNeil, Malcolm Rodriguez went on the reserve, physically unable to perform list. Josh Pascal remains on the reserve non-football injury list. So that's 4 more weeks without those guys there. McNeil and Rodriguez weren't expected back like imminently or anything like that. But it's going to be another busy day. A little less busy tomorrow, famous last words, but like the waiver claims are due. We'll learn about the practice squad tomorrow, and we'll see kind of where guys are moving and shaking. The waiver priority order is set on the draft order, and it doesn't reset when somebody claims someone. So the Titans can claim as many guys as they want. I think you saw that last year with like multiple claims going to the teams that were picking in the top 5. The Lions used one last year on Trevor Nowatzki. He made the initial 53-man roster as expected. But yeah, what would that put the Lions at? 28th on waiver priority. So that's, excuse me, that's a little later in the order. So, I wouldn't expect more than 1 or 2 for the Lions just based on probably what they're trying to do with a guy like Za'Darius probably, and also where they are in the waiver priority. But yeah, check out, we got MLive.com/Lions is flowing. I've got my 5 thoughts, just a quick breakdown on the roster. We got the full roster. We got all the tracker. We got it all covered. It's been a busy day. There's probably still going to be some more stuff to do tonight. I just drank a Celsius. It's 7:50 p.m. on a Tuesday night. And that's the life, baby.
I just drank a water, but I put a whole bunch of Mio energy in there, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen there.
Yeah, it's just you wake up at 7 and you're addicted to your phone and your computer for 12 hours now. It's one of those days. It's one of those days, and we'll see what the Lions do tomorrow because they do have 3 open spots. There's not a frantic rush to fill those, but if they do want to fill those with waiver claims, that's tomorrow. So we'll see what happens there. And we've got Brad Holmes later this week. The weekend is off, and then it's getting ready for Green Bay, just like that.
So quick.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to run through our game by game predictions again next week. We'll hopefully get the mailbag podcast rolling again. Please use the Dungeon of Doom at mlive.com/email or send us individual emails. Our emails are in that newsletter, the Weekly Roar. Make sure you sign up for that. There are multiple ways to get in contact with us. You guys know where we are on social media. Our emails are out there. We want to get those mailbags rolling again, so use that email. And Corey, any parting thoughts, or are we good to go?
Just my parting thought, and I'm going to try to sneak it in on later this week when we talk with Brad Holmes, is there hasn't really been much, at least unless I missed it, because I've been there, but there hasn't been much clarity on Josh Pascal. I mean,
Right.
We know he's on the non-football injury list, but it's just like, okay, we haven't really seen much consistency out of this guy since they've gotten him, and I'm just wondering, is that, eventually going to be one of those things that kind of like, I don't want to say with Martin, but maybe one of those things like after the end of this season, you cut your losses with him unless he comes back and, shows out. I mean, it's just a spot that's missing.
Yeah, I know. It's been up and down with him, and I do believe this is the last year of his rookie contract. Yes, it is. So the former 2nd-round pick, he's had some issues. He's had some injuries. He's had some, obviously some medical issues. And I would love some clarity from Brad on that too, because they thought he was going to be back on the practice field in September. Dan's last update on that was not looking good to hit that timeline, and not much more detail there. But yeah, this defensive line, at least out of the gates, looks a lot different with Pascal there, but it's going to be another little bit, it sounds like. But yeah, stick with mlive.com/Lions all week. We got Brad Holmes later this week, and that's usually and Ray Agnew, the assistant GM, will be there too, and that's usually a very meaty press conference to kind of get those off-season and training camp and roster stories out there before the attention turns to week 1. But we are 12 days from the season opening game against the Green Bay Packers, and it's time. It's time to get into that regular season, baby. We've been doing this for a while, and look at us. We didn't mention Hendon Hooker's name until the 25th minute on this week's podcast. Our boss will be very happy with that one. But yeah, the Hooker era is over in Detroit. He will be subject to waivers. At this point, I am super curious to see if he gets claimed anywhere. I don't know. All of a sudden, he feels like someone who could be available for a practice squad. I don't know. Somebody will likely take a chance on him. Former 3rd-round pick, a lot of talent shown in college, but nothing really shown since. But there you go. I would expect the Lions to have a quarterback on their practice squad ready to be that emergency 3rd.
Yeah.
If they need it. So we'll see what happens there. And that's it. I'm Ben Raven. He's Corey Woods, and we are your MLive Dungeon of Doom podcast.